what's up, y'all? Tony here at 0-Buck-30. You know, I've been doing this quite a long time, and 40 years now, and I've made a lot of mistakes, and they say that's how you learn, right? But I also learned a lot from a lot of great bow hunters over the years, and what I've put together today for y'all is my top 10 bow hunting whitetail deer tips for 2023. All right, tip number 1, the way you're drawing your bow. I see it time and time again. Even with professionals, it blows my mind that y'all are taking your bow and you're pulling it way up in the air, pulling it down like this, doing all this movement, all this extra stuff you don't need to do, versus aiming your bow at your target and pulling the bow straight back. You limit so much movement by doing this. You know, if you have a deer out there at 30 yards, your bow's going to be pretty level if you're not too high in a tree stand. But, you know, if a deer is down here, let's say 3 yards or 5 yards or 8 yards, 10 yards, you know, whatever it is, you're limiting so much movement by just putting your bow on the deer, and you're in the general area where you're going to be taking the shot. So it just makes common sense to do that. All right, so tip number 2. Let's say you're out there shooting and you don't know what's going on. You know, you shoot, you're not getting a good group. Everything was great yesterday, right? You go out there and shoot your bow today, everything's wrong. You're shooting to the left 2 inches, shooting high to the right, you're shooting low, all this stuff, right? You can't figure it out. One of the best tips that I was taught by an old timer that taught me archery was go up, pull your bow back at like 3 yards. Pull your bow back, make your anchor point, put your pin on the target, close your eyes, and let somebody else pull the trigger for you. It'll blow your mind when it happens. It'll scare you, because that's what a bow should do. You should not know it's going off. You know, so when you pull back, what it does is it makes you just surrender to that natural feeling of releasing your bow. So you go through that again, then go up and shoot 5 yards, see what happens. Shoot 10 yards, shoot 20 yards, get back to your 30 or whatever you're shooting. But always go back to that base. You know, I still do it. I've been shooting my bow for 45 years, you know, so it's one of the things that's helped me out a lot. All right, tip number 3, let's talk about deer behavior. This is a huge part that comes into hunting. You know, it takes a lot of time out there in the forest and wherever you hunt to get an understanding of how deer act. You know, you need to understand how they act when they're calm, how they act whenever, you know, they're alarmed. There's some tall tale signs that you can look for. Number 1 is always pay attention to a deer's tail. A deer's tail will tell you a lot. You know, if it's frayed, more than likely that deer is nervous. If it's wagging, most of the time they're pretty comfortable. You'll pay attention to that. Look for short, jerky movement of deer. You know, that's about the most basic way I can say it. If they're acting like that, something's not right. You know, so pay close attention to how deer behave. All right, tip number 4. It's a big one. Tree stand height. What are all y'all doing getting up there 30, 40 feet in the air? You're creating so many bad shot angles that ultimately you're going to lead to wounded deer. I mean, if you shoot a deer at 5 yards and you're 30 feet in the air, you're aiming at the spine. You're going to get one lung at best. Y'all get those tree stands down. You can set 12, 16, 18, 20 feet. You're going to be fine. As long as you're not out there pulling your bow up and acting all crazy and you're not out there moving around all the time, you're going to be fine at that height. You know, so get those tree stands down. You know, the whole goal is that you want to create more of a level shot. So if you're trying to get both lungs, you know, if you're down, say, 16 feet, well, guess what? A deer there at 10 yards, that's not such a steep angle. So get those tree stands down. All right, tip number 5. Let's talk about what you do after the shot. You know, you've taken that shot. Depending on where you've hit it is going to make a big difference on what you do next. You know, number 1 rule. There's no reason to get down out of your stand, get in a hurry, and get chasing after that deer. Even if you saw it go down, give it time. I would say the general rule is if you think you made a good vital kill, you're going to wait at least 30 minutes. And who knows, another deer might come by if you got an extra tag to fill, you know, so, or if you got somebody filming you, you can switch spots. without messing it up. But for a vital kill, at least 30 minutes. If you've hit it in the guts, man, I'm going to let that deer go at least 8, 12, depending on the temperature outside, maybe even a whole day. I'm going to back out of there. I'm not going to even go close, You hit one in the hip, go up and see what kind of blood you got. If you see blood spraying, you've waited time. If you hit that thing in the artery, it's going to be dead within, it's going to be a few minutes, So, but pay close attention to the signs that you see, but at least start off with giving that deer plenty of time. You know what they say, when in doubt, back out. All right, tip number 6. What are you wearing when you're shooting your bow? All summer long, how do we shoot our bow? Just like this. We don't have any gloves on. We got t-shirts on. It's a big difference than when you're out there hunting in super cold temperatures. You got all this clothing on. You got these gloves on. Shooting your bow changes. Y'all, people have thought I've been crazy for years that I'm out there in the middle of the summer with a big hefty, thick jacket on. I got my thick gloves on, and I'm practicing shooting like that, because what you don't realize is as you gain that thickness of clothing, man, that string might be hitting your arm. It might be hitting a zipper here or the front of your chest, anything like that. So you want to take all those factors into consideration. Shoot your bow in the clothing that you're going to be hunting in. All right, tip number 7, your bow arm. One of the biggest mistakes I see hunters make is, rushing the shot. What you do is when you let go of that arrow, you're going like this to see where your arrow went, because you just shot at a deer, right? It's an exciting time. Follow through. Practice this all the time when you're practicing. When you let go of that arrow, hold that bow arm out there until that arrow hits the target. I'm telling y'all, pay close attention to that. That'll make a huge difference in your accuracy of your shooting when you're out there shooting deer. All right, tip number 8. My broadheads shoot exactly the same as my field points. Bullcrap. All right, I've had several instances where my broadheads did not shoot the same as my field points. This is a big deal, you guys. Make sure, even if you have to waste a broadhead, take that broadhead and shoot it, and make sure that it shoots the same as your field points. And I will tell you that the better quality that the broadhead is made makes a huge difference. The lower you get in money, the less accurate some of those broadheads are, and they are going to shoot different. I can promise you that. But don't let that big buck walk by and you miss that shot, or make a bad shot on a deer because you didn't check to see if your broadhead shot the same as your field points. All right, tip number 9, expandable broadheads versus fixed blade broadheads. I'll tell you guys this, starting off, I'll never shoot another expandable broadhead in my life. Yeah, if you hit them right with a field point, you can kill a deer. But I'm going to tell you guys this, I've had several deer that I have lost from using an expandable broadhead. My most recent one was a 145-inch Illinois deer, big old brute. Shot him at 20 yards. I was only 16 feet in the air, only to watch that deer run off with the guts hanging out the middle of it. I looked for that deer for 2 days. What I ended up figuring out what happened was, when the broadhead entered, it hit a rib, it busted the blade on one side, ricocheted down and came out the center of the deer. It's the only logical way that could have happened. You'll never find me shooting one of those things again. The other negative thing to using an expandable is they pull out of a deer real easy. So they retract and they pull right out. I don't know about you, but I'd rather have a fixed blade broadhead in there cutting around. Might make the difference in whether you get that deer or not. The other thing I'm going to say about broadheads real quick is if you're shooting a lower pound bow, or I would say less than 50 pounds. Some states you can go probably less than 40 pounds now. But put a razor blade tip broadhead on that arrow. It's going to start to cut the skin immediately. You're just going to get better penetration that way. But y'all, put away those expandables. Go back to those fixed blades, man. They're going to do you more justice. All right, tip number 10. Y'all, what are you doing? Quit blowing those grunt calls all crazy and throwing those antlers together. Everybody in the woods is doing it. Be different. If you listen to a buck grunt, it's such a light sound. I mean, every once in a while you see that YouTube video of a buck going and a big snorting wheeze or whatever it might be. But y'all, if you're hunting on public land especially, put up those grunt calls, put up those antlers. Those deer have locked onto that. They've been watching it ever since they were a button buck. Put them up. Guarantee you, you're gonna see way bigger deer, especially on public land. Man, y'all, thanks for tuning in today. You know, if you like what we're doing, make sure you like, subscribe, offer comments. We'll be glad to pull up more stuff for you guys if you want to learn more. But you know, today was just a crash course of 10 tips that I thought were very important that came to my mind first. There's several rabbit holes we can go down, you know, but if you have any questions specifically to anything that I talked about today, throw a comment in and we'll be glad to respond. Thanks a lot. It's one hell of a life.